Hello, and welcome to What's That Behind You? In September 1985, the UK was gripped by what can only be described as mass hysteria. This was due to our very own urban legend, all surrounding a small painted boy and an unexplained rise in house fires. Could this be a real-life curse, or just a case of coincidence? Today, we look at the curse of the crying boy. Before we get into the curse, let's talk about the painting. The Crying Boy was a mass-produced print of a painting by an Italian painter who went by the name of Giovanni Bragolin. He was born in 1911 and died in 1981. This was also the pen name of the painter Bruno Amarillo. It was widely distributed from the 1950s onwards, and the prints were quite common and could be found in many households during that time. According to the legend, these prints were cursed, and houses that displayed them would be prone to fire disasters. The stories claimed that countless homes across the country had been burned down, but the prints of the crying boy were inexplicably unscathed in the remains. The curse gained widespread attention through tabloid newspapers, with sensational headlines and stories further fueling the fear among the general public. Many people became frightened and started removing the prints from their homes, fearing the curse would bring them harm. On September 4th, 1985, British tabloid newspaper The Sun published a story about a couple, Ron and May Hall, whose house had burned down due to a fire which started from a chip pan. The painting of the crying boy remained untouched, while all around it was charred ruins. The couple blamed the fire on the painting. A fire station officer, Alan Wilkinson, said he knew of numerous other cases where this same painting was the only object in the house to survive a fire unscathed. A photo accompanying the story showed the crying boy, and the caption read, "Tears for Fears, the portrait that firemen claim is cursed." So why would this seemingly innocent series of paintings be cursed? Before long, speculation was rife. Theories ranged from the little boy being a gypsy child whose family placed a curse on the artist. Some claimed that the child had died in a fire and his spirit was trapped in the painting. The most enduring story claimed that the crying boy accidentally set fire to the studio of the artist who had painted him. The child's parents had also been killed in a blaze. Wherever the little orphan went, fires mysteriously followed, earning him the nickname of Diablo, or Devil. The boy supposedly survived to an early adulthood, but was tragically killed when his car crashed and burst into flames. From then onwards, it was his image that carried on his cursed fascination with fire. Many cases of this fiery phenomena had happened over the years, but the majority was in 1985. Going back to the whole story, it was in early September 1985 that the phenomena entered the public domain, when Yorkshire fireman Peter Hall was quoted in a national newspaper as saying that the fire brigades across the north of England had found examples of the same picture remaining untouched in these fires. The causes of these fires remained unknown. Hall spoke out after his brother Ron, who did not believe the story, deliberately brought a copy of the crying boy to disprove the jinx. The Hall's residence mysteriously burnt down soon after. After the blaze, the picture had been removed from the house intact from the charred ruins. Ron Hall put his boot through it. Another case was Dora Brand of Mitcham in Surrey. She saw her home reduced to pyre 6 weeks after she had brought the painting. and although it was among many others she owned, it was the only one that survived. Sandra Krask of Kilburn said that she, her sister, her mother and a friend had all suffered fires since buying copies of the picture. On the 21st of October 1985, the Perillo Pizza Palace in Great Yarmouth was gutted by fire, although its prominently displayed Crying Boy picture remained in pristine condition. On 24th of October 1985, the Godper family of Herringthorpe, South Yorkshire, lost their home to an unexplained fire. The Crying Boy picture displayed in their living room stayed unmarked, while pictures on either side of it had been completely consumed by the flames. On the 25th of October 1985, in Heswall, Merseyside, a pair of the paintings hanging in the living room and dining rooms of a house belonging to the Amos family were found intact after a gas explosion destroyed the building. In November 1985, one woman from Leeds who destroyed her picture of the Crying Boy seemed certain that its destruction was to blame for the deaths in a fire of her husband and 3 sons. Mrs. Woodward of Forest Hill, London, who destroyed her picture, believed it to be responsible for the loss of her son, daughter, husband and mother in separate fire-related issues. On the 12th of November 1985, Malcolm Vaughan of Church Down in Gloucestershire helped to destroy a neighbour's picture. He returned home to find his own living room ablaze for reasons which firemen were unable to explain. On December 1985, 67-year-old William Armitage died in a mysterious fire that swept through his house in Weston-super-Mare. It was discovered that a Crying Boy picture was found intact lying beside the pensioner's charred body. One of the firemen who dealt with the blaze was afterwards quoted as saying, "I've never believed in the jinx up until now, but when you actually come across a picture in a gutted room and it's literally the only thing that hasn't been touched, it is most odd." In all of these cases, and many more that were reported, the painting of the Crying Boy remained unharmed. Eventually, if there was an image of a crying child by any artist in a house that went on fire, the painting was blamed. Some claimed that they experienced bad luck if they attempted to destroy or get rid of their paintings. Others were convinced that it was only a matter of time before disaster struck them. After printing more articles and scare stories, the Sun offered a frightened public a solution. On Halloween 1985, hundreds upon hundreds of the paintings were collected together by the newspaper and burnt under the supervision of the fire brigade. In a bid to debunk the stories that grew up around the painting of the Crying Boy, various experts offered their own theories. A frustrated fire brigade pointed out that in all cases where there had been fires, there was rational explanation. The fires, in almost all cases, could be tracked back to human carelessness or electrical faults. What they couldn't explain was the evidence that the painting often remained intact when everything around them was destroyed. In 2010, a video made by Steve Punt and available on YouTube, which I will link below, a painting of the Crying Boy is set alight in a bid to decide the matter once and for all. By the time the fire burns out, the corner of the painting is scorched, but it remains largely intact, and the face remained untouched. Yet the Sun, who first published the story of the Crying Boy, had no trouble incinerating hundreds of copies. Perhaps the simplest of explanation is that the picture is printed onto fire-retardant materials. Quite simply, the manufacturer of the print created a fire-resistant product that became a victim of its own success. But the debate continues. What do you think of this? This is truly staggering when it comes down to curses. The sheer amount of fires alone that came from this young Crying Boy. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Also consider liking the video if you've enjoyed it, and also pressing that subscribe button for more videos just like this one every single week. But for now, Don't start ripping your house apart, taking paintings off walls. Maybe, just maybe, it's all made up. But for now, you don't have to be afraid of what's behind you.